I don't think I've ever been this excited about filming a video, but this is a project that I've been working on for so long, so it feels so good to finally look at you and tell you that I'm done relisting my entire Poshmark closet. But if you want to learn why I even decided to do that in the first place, as well as what my process looked like and what I got out of the process, then definitely stay tuned.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body tremors for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Kidizen, and ThredUp. And although this particular video is just about relisting my entire Poshmark closet, that actually had an impact on all of my other reselling platforms as well. So you're gonna get to see how I was able to make sales even on some of those other platforms that I mentioned as a result of relisting my entire Poshmark closet. On this channel, you can expect to find these kinds of kind of one-off experiment videos, as well as weekly what sold videos, as well as tips and tricks videos, thrift hauls, so on and so forth. So if you enjoy reselling content, especially from the perspective of a part-time reseller, then please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the notification bell, because that's how YouTube knows to let you know every time I upload any new content. If you are brand new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by and checking me out. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this particular video and consider subscribing and watching some of my others. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about what it was like for me to relist my entire Poshmark closet. I will have timestamps down in the description below in case you want to kind of jump around and see what the different topics are, in case there's only like a couple things you really care about. But what we're going to do is we're going to start at the very beginning. Why did I decide to relist my entire Poshmark closet? I actually saw on Instagram a post of someone who said that she likes to relist her entire Poshmark closet once a month, and that by doing so, she feels like it brings her a lot of sales. I was really intrigued by that. And when she said that she did it once a month, I was like, oh, that means it should be really fast. Like I could probably do it in like a couple days or something. The process ended up taking me 3 months, like right at the 3-month mark. I will say I did have over 700 listings when I started. I think it was closer to like 750. I wish I was smart enough to think about like screenshotting my closet at the time so I could see exactly how many listings I had. But for whatever reason, I thought maybe I could just get this done in a couple days time, and that was not the case. I will say the first way that I started going about it, and the way that I probably spent 2 months of my time trying to relist my closet, was definitely extremely tedious and just not the quickest way to go about it. I was able to figure out a much better system in the final month. And I will say that's when I probably relisted the majority of my closet, was in that final month, because I figured out this great system that I will share with you. But it did take me a very, very long time. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, go into it knowing that it is a long-term project and you just really have to like wrap your head around that before you get into it. So one of the main reasons I wanted to relist my entire Poshmark closet is because I had a lot of really old, stale listings. And believe it or not, I still had listings in my Poshmark closet that were from my first like 6 months of reselling. They were just so old. And there is this theory that when your listings are just kind of stale, when they've been around for a long time, for whatever reason, you're just not going to get as much traffic to those listings. So people will recommend relisting things even just after a month, or some people will say after 3 months. I don't think that there's a magic number, but I do think 2 years is definitely past the life expectancy of a listing on Poshmark. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to relist my entire Poshmark closet, was because I knew that I had some listings that just really didn't stand a chance at being sold with them being so old. And not only that, but I knew that I wanted to cross list those items over to eBay and probably just auction them out at this point. A lot of the reason why some of those oldest listings weren't selling is because they're not really the kinds of things that people are looking for. They're outdated. They're just not trendy anymore. They're not brands that people are looking for. So I was just looking to at least make my initial investment back. And so I was thinking to myself, I'll just relist them on Poshmark on the off chance that someone will buy them, but better yet, I will also make sure to cross-list them over to eBay. And even if I auction them out at like $1.99, I was totally cool with that, because like I said, I would at least be recouping the majority of my money back. Also, I did this really cool thing over the summer called the Summer Listing Challenge. And part of that Summer Listing Challenge was inviting other resellers to come onto my channel and just give their advice about different things regarding reselling. And one thing that I learned from two of those guest speakers, if you will, from my Summer Listing Challenge, the two people were Courtney from Courtney on Posh and Jess from JS Thrifts and Flips. They both said that they really try to stuff as many keywords as they can about the particular item in their listing, both in the listing title and in the description. Because I know for myself, I wasn't really utilizing the Poshmark description as much as I could have. I hardly ever got close to using up all of the characters. I would just kind of give like a brief description of what I was selling, what kind of condition it was in, and put a note in there about bundling and whatnot. So I never thought about the idea of inserting more keywords into the description and even in the listing if I had room in the listing title that also described the piece I was trying to sell. Now, definitely don't take that to mean that you should just stuff in keywords that don't actually have anything to do with your item. There's nothing that bothers me more than when I'm trying to shop on Poshmark and I'm searching for like a Free People top or something, and a shirt comes up in my search, not because it's actually by Free People, but because someone put Free People in the description and they're like, Free People style. And I'm like, no, don't do that. So don't be one of those people, but I'm talking about, for example, if you're selling a pair of slacks for work, in the description, you could put things like office, work, career, professional, business casual, teacher. I mean, you could put so many different words that people might be searching for when they're typing in the search bar of Poshmark. And by doing so, you're giving your item that much more of a chance to be found in search and to potentially be purchased. And so that was one of the things I wanted to implement when I went through my entire Poshmark closet and relisted. I wanted to stuff as many relevant keywords into both the title and listing as I could. I also wanted to go through and fix any spelling errors, of which there were a few. And I even found things that were categorized under the wrong gender or categorized under the wrong size. And not only that, but since I've started selling, Poshmark has come out with some updates. One of them being that they have different drop-down categories now for things like jeans, for things like dresses. Like it used to be pretty limited if you said that, you were selling a pair of jeans. There weren't that many options as far as the different kinds of jeans that you could choose from, but they've since added a few. So now I was able to go in and more properly categorize, if I had a pair of high-waisted jeans, I could put them under that subcategory of high-waisted and therefore hopefully give my item a better chance of being found in search and purchased. The last thing I wanted to do in terms of improving my listings was I wanted to apply some advice from Mogi Beth, and she has a great video. It's like 5 top Poshmark tips or something, but she also talked about it when she came on my channel. And that tip was, think about the price ranges that people can turn on when they're filtering their searches. They can say, I just want to see things from $0 to $25 or from $25 to $50. And she said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to price things at $24 because if you were to just raise the price by $1 of that item, then you're going to show up in both price ranges, whether someone's searching for something in that $0 to $25 range or the $25 to $50 range. And that blew my mind. I was like, duh, like that makes so much sense. And I know for myself personally, I have turned on those price ranges when I'm shopping on Poshmark. So I know that this is something that people are doing to try and stay within a specific price range. So I went through and I also made sure while I was relisting items to change the prices so that if it was possible that they would fall on like a $25 or $50 or $75 mark so that they would show up in more than one price range. Some items, it didn't make sense. It was like a $30 item, so it didn't make sense to make it 25 or to make it all the way up to 50. But the ones that I was able to kind of manipulate the price a little bit, I did. And I do think that that helped me make some sales as well. I also knew that I had a lot of listings in my Poshmark closet that I just wanted to pull to send into ThredUp. There are a lot of brands that do really well on Poshmark, but there are also some that just don't. Like some that if you were to send them into ThredUp, they would just sell for a lot more and you'd get more profit for those items. So I actually ended up pulling 71 items from my Poshmark closet to send into ThredUp, and they consisted of a wide range of items. There were some like higher end items that for whatever reason have a hard time, getting attention on Poshmark. And there were also some like lower, cheaper things that I also just for whatever reason didn't want to sell on Poshmark and just wanted to get out into a different marketplace. So I did also pull 71 pieces from my Poshmark closet while I was going through my entire Poshmark closet, and that helped eliminate some of the inventory that was sitting around in my house. And that takes us to the last reason why I wanted to relist my entire Poshmark closet, and that was inventory. Like I said, I had about 750 listings in my Poshmark closet at the time, and the majority of those items were cross-listed over to the other platforms that I sell on as well, but they weren't all on all of the other platforms, and I didn't really know which ones were on which platforms. Obviously, I could go to whichever platform and search to see if, whatever item I was looking for was on that platform or not, but I wanted to just systematically go through and relist my entire Poshmark closet. So not only did I want to relist everything in my Poshmark closet, but I wanted to take all those relisted items and cross-list every single one of them to the other platforms that I sell on, and basically delete the old listings from the other platforms and start anew with a brand new listing that I was cross-listing from Poshmark. And the reason for that was the same, right? Like, they're kind of stale listings over on those other platforms. People aren't really looking at those older listings. So I just wanted to delete all of those and start over. So not only did I already have like 750 listings in my Poshmark closet, but in my house right now, I currently have probably somewhere around 1,200, if not more, pieces of inventory to photograph and list. I have a lot of stuff waiting for me, and I didn't want to just keep adding stuff into my bins when I knew that they were honestly kind of a mess, and when I knew that my inventory spreadsheet was honestly kind of a mess. There were things on my spreadsheet that weren't in the bins and vice versa. I didn't know what items were listed on what platform, and so I just wanted to kind of also have a fresh start at a brand new overhaul of my inventory spreadsheet. And while I kept the structure of my inventory the same, one little tip that I did steal from Kathy from Ginger Marvin, they have a spreadsheet that's very similar to mine. They have a spreadsheet that's very similar to mine, and I'll show you what my spreadsheet looks like now. But basically, I have a column on the far left where I have the numbers of the bags that I use for my inventory system. I just reuse Ziploc bags, and on the outside of the bag, I'll write the inventory number, and if number, let's say 270 sells, I'll pull out whatever was inside of bag 270, and when I have a new item listed, I will just go ahead and put that new item into bag 270. And that way I'm just reusing these Ziploc bags over and over again. And then I have a column next to that for the brand name, and then next to that I have like the description, and I always try to start with the color, since usually when I'm looking in my inventory system, I'll have more than one item from any particular brand. So I can look for the brand, and then I can look by color, and then the next column is size, and then the next few columns are all of the different platforms that I sell on. And this is what I stole from Kathy from Ginger Marvin, is I saw on her channel that she would put an X on which platform she was able to cross-list that item over to. So I decided to do the same thing. Again, I sell on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Kidizen. You'll notice that I have Tradesy on this spreadsheet as well. I have not sold one single thing on Tradesy. Granted, I have like 8 things listed on there, but still, I don't really see a future for myself on that platform. But because I use List Perfectly, it's not a huge deal to cross-list to one more platform. So why not when it applies? So that's what I decided to do for my new inventory spreadsheet. Just keep it really simple. And the biggest thing that I wanted to do too was I wanted to move it over to Google Sheets, because I was using Microsoft Excel. And I remember telling Mogi Beth that, and she was like, "What is wrong with you?" She was like, "Get with the times. Like, you need to be on Google." And I was like, I know, I use Google for everything else. And the beautiful thing about putting everything on Google Sheets is that you can access it from any device. You don't have to be on a specific computer or anything like that, which is really cool. So I went ahead and started a Google Sheets. And as I relisted everything from Poshmark, I put it into a brand new inventory spreadsheet, one item at a time. So I didn't copy and paste anything from my old inventory system, but I literally just started anew because I knew I needed a fresh start. I also started keeping inventory of my shoes, because before I didn't track those on my spreadsheet at all. I would just kind of put them in their general area of my house and go hunting for them when I sold a pair of shoes. But I'm going to be developing a numeric, system for my shoes as well to put in my spreadsheet, so it's much faster to find them when they sell. So how did I go about relisting my entire Poshmark closet? I started with one way and then figured out a much better way. So let me tell you really quickly what I was doing, and it was awful. So don't do it like this. What I used to do was on my laptop, which is very old and very bad, like it's very slow, and half the time Poshmark would like crash on my laptop. But what I would do is I would go to my closet, I would search by just in, and then I would select the filter to show just the items that are available in my closet at the time, and I would scroll all the way to the bottom. This is where like my computer would crash on me half the time, was as I was scrolling, because there was so much to scroll through. So I would scroll all the way to the bottom of my listing, because that's how I could find what items were the oldest listings in my Poshmark closet. And I would start with that oldest one. I would right click to open a new window. I would go into edit listing, and I would use the copy feature that Poshmark came out with not too long ago, which is a really great feature actually. So I would say copy this listing, and then I would look at, the new listing and edit the listing title to make it more optimized. I would edit the description. I would check for spelling errors. I would check to make sure that it was in the right category, all that good stuff, right? And then I would publish the new listing. I would then delete the original item from Poshmark, because I obviously didn't want two listings for the same item on Poshmark. And one sidebar really quickly, when you do use the copy feature on Poshmark, it's kind of annoying because when you create the new listing at the beginning of your listing title, it'll say copy and then it'll take off like the last few characters of your listing title to make room for the thing that says copy. So you do have to remember to go in and delete the word copy, and then also, finish out the rest of your listing at the end. I can't tell you how many times I've been scrolling through Poshmark and I see people's listings that say copy at the front. And I know it's because they copied their listing, but they just forgot to delete the word copy. So that's a sidebar, but I would go ahead and delete the old listing from Poshmark, and then I would find that particular listing on all of the other platforms that I sold on, and I would delete those listings, and then I would cross list the new listing from Poshmark. I would put the information in my new Google Sheets spreadsheet, and I would have to refer back to my Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, because I would pull the inventory number and I would put that, where it needed to go, and then I would put in the rest of the information for that particular item, check off where the item was now cross-listed, and then I would move on to the next item. It was slow, it was tedious, it took forever. And then I got to sit down and talk with the creators of Seller Insight, which is an app that I have been using and loving. I do have a video about it right here if you want to learn more about it as well, and how you can utilize it to get the data and analytics about your Poshmark business that Poshmark, for whatever reason, doesn't really give us. But anyway, I was able to sit down with them before I made that video, and one thing that they taught me is that within the app, there is such an easy way to find your oldest listings. And not only that, not only to identify your oldest listings, but to, within the app, quickly relist items on Poshmark. So here I am on the homepage of Seller Insight, and I'm going to show you a few things even here on the homepage that I think are helpful to know in order to get the most out of this app when you're using it to relist your oldest listing. So the first thing I would say is, before you even try to use the app, make sure that you have downloaded your inventory report from Poshmark and imported it into the app. And you can do that by going into the bottom left hand where it says sales, and you scroll down to where it says, nope, that's a lie. You can do that by going into inventory on the bottom right. And if you click on import my inventory, this is where you can import your inventory report. So again, you just download it from Poshmark. They email it to you as a spreadsheet. You download it to your phone, and then you import it into the app right here. Once you've done that though, if you go back to the home page, there's this icon or like this tile that says sync your sales and inventory. And if you click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to go through all of your information from that day. If you've made any sales, if you've, added any new inventory to your Poshmark closet. That way you have the newest information regarding what listings you still have currently available in your Poshmark closet. So I do recommend just hitting that. Oh my gosh, and it makes such a loud noise. I had my headphones in, so it scared me a little bit. But that's how you know what exactly sold for you, as well as what exactly is in your inventory. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on the inventory icon on the bottom right corner of my screen. And I want you to look at this chart right here. This is pretty cool. It's going to by default show you your current year, but you can also look at like the last 30 days. And this is helpful if you are setting a goal for yourself to list consistently every day. This is going to show you how many items you have listed, so that you can kind of keep track.
you can see like on the 15th, I went crazy and I listed 51 items, or I should say relisted. The next day I did 32. But yeah, there were some days where I was just going crazy because I had the time and because this made it so easy. But anyway, going back to 2020, you'll notice, I had said that I started relisting my entire Poshmark closet in July, but you'll notice I didn't actually do a whole lot of relistings because the way that I was doing it originally was taking so long and it was just not efficient, and therefore I only got 37 relistings done. You'll notice that I got a few more done in August, but I was still doing it like the pretty slow way. So I was doing like maybe 5. If I was really getting into it, I would do like 10 a day. And then you'll notice in September, I like really kicked it up. And that's because I figured out how to use Seller Insight in order to do this much more quickly. And so this is what I would do. I go to Inventory Insight, which is this tile right here in the bottom left-hand corner. And when I click on that, it has some different charts and graphs. The first one is showing you the top 30 items with the highest amount of profit. The next one is showing you the top 30 listings with the highest listing prices. And if you swipe for a third time, it's going to show you your top 30 listings that are the longest listed. And so this is what I would go off of in order to relist that day. I would just go right here to see which items in my Poshmark closet had been listed for the longest. And then from here, I could go ahead and start relisting. So I'm going to click on the oldest one, and you'll see all of these have the number 98 next to them because these have all been listed for 98 days. If I scroll down, you'll see some things have been listed for 97, 96, 94, 92, but my oldest listings have been listed for 98 days. And those are items that I relisted 98 days ago. They still haven't sold. That's another topic for another day. But if I click on the gray little graph thing, I don't know official names of things, but it'll pull up my listing in Seller Insight. A couple cool things. One is if you press on the Save Photos button, what it will do is it will actually save the photos from your listing to your phone in square mode. I know back in the day when I was relisting, I wouldn't still have those pictures on my phone, so I would have to take a screenshot and then I would have to reformat all those pictures, and it was such a pain. And Seller Insight, always, out to help us save as much time as possible, figured out a way to help us, eliminate that step. So they allow us to save our photos to our phone just by a press of that button. And once you've done what you need to with those items, whether you want to like manually enter them again in Poshmark, which you'll see you don't even have to do that, or maybe you just wanted to download them so that you could cross list them to another platform. But once you have saved these pictures to your phone with the click of a button, you can also delete the pictures with the click of a button using this app. It's amazing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead though and click on copy listing. And once here, there are all these different tiles with the different parts of a Poshmark listing. So there's title, description, department, category, etc. All I have to do is click on one of those, and what it'll do when I click on the title, for example, is it will copy all of the information from the title. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the title. It says that it's copied, and then you'll notice it directly took me to Poshmark. It opened up the Poshmark app. It took me to this particular listing, and now I can go ahead and relist this. So I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom left where it says copy listing. And you'll notice that you cannot use this if your item has only been listed for 59 days or less. Like if it hasn't been listed for 60 days, then the copy listing function is not there within Poshmark. And so a lot of people like to utilize Seller Insight as well if they want to relist an item and it's been listed for under 2 months. If they have a reason to relist it, then they may not go about it this way, but again, the app makes it really easy to relist. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and copy the listing. So it says copy listing. Yes, I want to do that. Now, the annoying thing we all know is when you copy a listing, it says copy at the front of the listing title. But again, Seller Insight is always thinking about how to save us time. So all I have to do is click on the title. I'm going to select all, and I'm just going to paste because they allowed me to copy the information from the title earlier. So now I have my original title. I didn't have to go in and like delete the word copy and then put the actual part of the listing title that I had at the end. It's all there as I had written it out the first time, and then they just copied it and pasted. So now I can press done. I can make any edits that I need to make. I don't really have any to make here. You can see I have like different keywords at the bottom. There might be more that I could use, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep those. And then I'm okay with the price. I'm really okay with all that stuff. You know, the only thing I might add is I might add in the keywords new with tags. I have, you know, NWT, but in case people don't know what NWT means. So now that this is done, I'm going to press next. I'm going to list it. And so it is now in Poshmark. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Seller Insight. And typically, if you look at the top left-hand corner where it has the time, that's what I would press to go back to Seller Insight. But unfortunately, right now, because I'm doing a screen recording, it's not letting me press there. So I'm going to have to like manually go back into Seller Insight, which is fine for now. Typically, you can just toggle back and forth super easily, which is amazing too. So now I can very easily delete the original listing. You'll see that at the very bottom, but right above that, that's what you press to delete photos that you saved to your phone earlier. I don't have to delete any photos because I didn't save any. So I can now delete my original listing. Before I do that really quickly, if you look at the top, you'll notice it says Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and other. And that's because if you want, you can copy information from each of these parts of a listing. So again, title, description, department, whatever. And how you would quote unquote cross list using Seller Insight is you would copy your title, open up eBay, open a new listing, paste your title, toggle back to Seller Insight, click on description, copy your description, and paste it into eBay. Toggle back to Seller Insight. You would copy the department. So basically, it's just created a really efficient way for you to go back and forth between Seller Insight and whatever app it is that you want to cross list to, and you can just copy and paste, copy and paste. It's not the same thing as like a List Perfectly or something like that, but it is definitely a pretty cool feature of the app. So anyways, that is what I do in order to relist super quickly. Even just the function of having all of my oldest listings, or like my 30 oldest listings, in that chart and having access to them that quickly has been such a game changer. And you'll notice all I have to do now is delete my original listing because I don't want to have two of the same listing, obviously. So I'm just going to go to edit. I'm going to scroll all the way down. I'm going to press delete. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete the item. And now my original listing is gone and I have a brand new listing up.
After I learned that, I quickly changed how I was going about relisting my Poshmark closet because the way that I was doing it was awful. So what I decided to do was look at the list of my 30 oldest listings, and I would go ahead and just put them into my inventory, and I would, pull the numbers from my old inventory spreadsheet. And then I would go to all of the different platforms that I was selling on, and I would just start by deleting those items right then and there. And I could just go down the list, using my Google Sheets, and I could find what items needed to be deleted from each platform. So I would use the Seller Insight app. I would relist those 30 items, and then I would cross-list them in groups of 5 using List Perfectly to the different platforms that I sold on. I was now able to do like 30 to 50 relistings and cross-listings in the same time that it was taking me to do like 5 or 10. It was amazing. Once I realized that Seller Insight had this capability and that I could do what I needed to do using their app in such a more efficient manner, I was able to relist, like I said, probably half of my Poshmark closet in 1 month's time doing that. Doing, probably a minimum of like 20 relistings a day, but sometimes being able to pump out like 50 or 60 because the process was so much faster. Again, I cannot speak more highly of Seller Insight. It has become an app that I use literally multiple times a day. It is only available for iPhones right now, but they are working super hard on the Android version, so that should be out soon. But I do have a link you can use down below if you want to try out Seller Insight yourself. It is $9.99 a month, and you do get a free 3-day trial to begin with, just so you can see if you like it or not. I love it, cannot speak more about it. Like I said, I have that video that I talked about earlier, and I'll link it down below too so that you can check it out if you want to see what else you can do with the Seller Insight app. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then also you heard me talk a lot about List Perfectly, which is another subscription-based tool that I use to cross-list all of my items. And the reason I love List Perfectly is because, again, it helps me save time. If I had to manually cross-list everything from one platform to another, I just wouldn't do it. Like, I just simply would refuse to cross-list, and I would only have my items up on Poshmark, and I just wouldn't have as many eyes on my pieces as I do now because I'm able to cross-list them over so quickly using List Perfectly. So I do have a tutorial video on List Perfectly right here that I will link, and I'm in the midst of a giveaway for that, so definitely watch that video to learn more about that giveaway and to learn about how you can get some really great prizes. But I know I talk about things like Seller Insight and List Perfectly all the time, and I know that they cost money, but in the long run, I really do believe that these two investments, both Seller Insight and List Perfectly, I believe that they help me to make more money in my reselling business. So for me, the investment is worth it. You have to decide for yourself if it is or if it isn't, and if it isn't, that's totally fine. But I'm just telling you for myself personally that these are two things I can no longer live without. So what were the results? What happened after these 3 months of relisting my entire Poshmark closet? Let me tell you. So, like I said earlier, I sent 71 items over to ThredUp, and I can't really speak to like how much money I've earned on those pieces yet because most of those pieces haven't actually even been processed by ThredUp yet. Because if you haven't heard, ThredUp is extremely backed up and they're taking like 3, 4, 5 months to get to boxes. And I don't expedite my boxes, so they're waiting for a long time. So I don't even know if any of the pieces that I've pulled to send into ThredUp have been processed. Those are profits that I will see later, hopefully. But as a result of relisting my entire Poshmark closet, on Poshmark alone, I sold 95 items after they were relisted, and that was for a total of $1,314.03 of profit. So that's not like the price that the buyer paid. That's like what I put in my bank account as a result of relisting those items. It was $1,314.03. I cross-listed everything that I could from Poshmark to my other platforms as well. So on eBay, I sold 51 items that were relisted, and off of those, I made a total of $638.50. I will say a lot of those pieces were auction pieces. They were things that I cross-listed from Poshmark, and I was like, honestly, I don't care if I make $1.99 on this thing. I just need it out of my house. And, you know, to be honest, probably out of the 51 pieces that sold on eBay, I would say like 10 to 20 of them were probably auction items, and auctions starting as low as $199, as high as $4.99. So my average sales price on those relisted items were not amazing, but I hate the idea of taking items that I've already taken the time to photograph and list to Goodwill. You know, like I don't like to do all that work and then just like donate items after I've done all the work already. So it just felt good to at least, you know, recoup my initial investment or a portion of it in some cases. And a lot of the items were things that I had gotten for free from friends and family. So even though, you know, things had sold for $1.99 and I made a profit of like $1.80 or something like that, I was still happy with that because, like I said, in some of those cases, it was stuff that had been given to me for free. On Mercari, I sold 18 items for a total of $189.55. And on Kidizen, I sold 4 items that had been relisted, and that gave me a total of $20. So in total, I sold 168 items that I had relisted out of like the 750, and that was for a total of $2,162.08. That was an average sales price of $12.87, and between the 168 items that sold and the 71 pieces that I was able to send to ThredUp, I was able to get rid of 239 items. I also, in the midst of relisting my entire Poshmark closet, was able to identify a few pieces that, you know, I didn't even have in my possession anymore, like perhaps they'd sold on other platforms and they were still listed on Poshmark for whatever reason, so I was able to pull those. I think I pulled 2 items to just go ahead and donate because they were in pretty rough shape and just not worth the potential, you know, case being open. Like it just wasn't in good enough shape for me to sell, and so I did end up pulling like 2 items. So by the time I finished relisting my entire Poshmark closet and had, you know, been selling through some of the stuff, I was down to under 600 items in my Poshmark closet, which was great. Like that's exactly where I wanted to be. And for the past few days now, maybe a week or so, yeah, I think it's been like a week, I've been able to list new items, and oh my gosh, like I have such a newfound appreciation for like photographing clothes and, you know, just like looking at new things instead of the same things that I've been looking at. It just feels so wonderful. And now everything is where it's supposed to be. Everything is super tidy. There have been a number of times where, you know, I've sold stuff and I realize, oh my gosh, like I actually don't have this in my possession anymore. And hopefully because of the fact that I've completely rehauled my inventory spreadsheet, that just won't happen anymore. By the way, if you're interested to see like what particular pieces sold as a result of me relisting, I will link my what sold playlist down below. Every week I do a what sold video. I share with you every single item that sold in that week. And if it was something that sold as a result of being relisted, I always mention that in those videos. So if you want to see like what kinds of items have been selling, then definitely go down in the description below and you can binge watch that fun little playlist. So what's left? What is there left to do? I will say one thing I haven't done yet. I haven't gone through all of the items that are listed on Mercari and eBay just to check and make sure that there aren't listings on there that I don't actually have in my possession. Mercari especially, before their most recent updates, it used to be that you couldn't search for anything in your inventory. You just had to scroll through all of your listings to find anything. And so for the longest time, if something sold on Poshmark or eBay, I like didn't bother deleting it on Mercari because I was like, I don't want to go looking for it. And also I don't make that many sales in Mercari. And I was like, I'm not going to worry about it. It's probably not going to sell anyway. So I know that there probably are still a good number of listings in Mercari for me that I need to go through and delete because I don't have those things anymore. That's something I have left to do. And I have to do the same thing for eBay. eBay is probably a lot better than Mercari in that sense, but it wouldn't hurt for me to go through eBay too and just check it against my spreadsheet just to make sure everything that I say I have in my eBay store, I actually have for sale. So those are some things that I have left to do. And I would also like to go through my bins and look at every single item one at a time and check it against my spreadsheet just to make sure that everything that's in the bins is actually for sale. I did do like an inventory check probably when my state first went into shelter in place. You know, I just had like all this free time on my hands. So I was like, let me try just going through all my inventory. And I found like 15 to 20 pieces that were in my bins, but weren't listed. I think it's good to just go through your entire inventory every once in a while and make sure that there aren't any pieces that have fallen through the cracks. And so that's something that I probably could afford to do. Although now I'm just so excited about the prospect of listing new items that I don't know when I'll actually get around to that. The last thing I want to talk about is what I learned from this experience and what I'm going to change moving forward. So the first thing is I do think I want to go through this process of relisting my entire Poshmark closet at least once a year. Now that I've figured out a much faster way to do it, I think it shouldn't take me longer than like 2-3 weeks time. And I think it's something worth doing at least once a year just to kind of refresh your listings, look through them and check and make sure that they're as optimized as they can be, to recheck comps. You know, maybe things were worth a certain amount when you first listed them, but now that a year has passed, they're just not worth that same amount. There are a lot of different things that you can do to your listings, especially if that much time has passed. So I do think that it was a really valuable experience and something that I want to try to do, you know, once a year. The next thing that I learned is that it's important to inventory items right away. And that's a habit I want to create for myself. So once I photograph pieces, you know, I kind of have them sitting in like a big tub waiting for me to inventory them. And it used to take me like months to, you know, finally get to them and put them in my inventory bags. But the challenge that I'm going to set for myself is as soon as I finish photographing them, I want to go ahead and inventory them. And then the last thing that I want to make sure I do too is I want to make sure that I cross list items right away. I used to list everything to Poshmark and wait like a few days before I cross listed them over to the other platforms. And as a result, there were some items that wouldn't get cross-listed or, you know, just different things would happen. But I'm trying to get into the habit of the same day I list things on Poshmark to also cross-list them over to the other platforms that I sell on. So far, you know, I think I've been listing new items for like a week now. I've been really great about it. I do think I have been cross-listing everything the same day, if not the next morning. Yeah, it just has to become habit and it just has to become part of my daily routine versus I'm really good about it for like the first week and then I just go back to my old ways. That was a lot, guys. So that was my experience with relisting my entire Poshmark closet. Let me know in the comments down below. Does this make you want to relist your entire Poshmark closet as well? Let me know if there were any takeaways or if there's anything that you feel like I could have done to expedite my process even more, or just any other advice you might have for me as I move forward with this new system and this new outlook on how to keep my reselling pieces organized. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button because it does help out this particular video as well as my channel overall. So for that, I would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much again for hanging out with me today. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.